I don't know what to say. I say as I've been ranting here for 25 minutes to open the show. It just, I don't know, man. I know I say this every year because the frustration and like I said, we'll get into it later on in the show. I was feeling this way after Friday night. I was feeling this way after Phoenix, for the Truck Series last year. But I just, I watched. There's a lot of videos that are in my watch later playlist here. I didn't get to as many of them during work as I wanted to because I had a busier day. But I did get to Dale's video, and I like his idea about the final three. That's what I was thinking about this morning. And I also like what he said, and I think I hinted at this yesterday on the stream as well. Maybe I just need to be a fan from Daytona to Darlington. I just watch the first 26 races, watch these guys go for race wins. Yeah, the playoffs are always going to be part of the conversation. Who's in, who's out, who doesn't have to worry about that as early as the season opener at Daytona. But once we get to the playoffs, it's just exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And I understand. Listen, if you like the system, God bless you. You are getting, maybe you are getting exactly what you want. I can't imagine that people wanted this. I can't imagine that everybody's thrilled to be talking about this.
I had fun with it in the late 2010s. I'll say that. I did have fun with it in the late 2010s.
Well, and I'll say
back into it.
Yeah, in complete fairness, I think when it unfolds like it did last week, it's fun. It's entertaining. I can't deny that. When it unfolds like it did at Darlington with Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch fighting for that last spot to win in their last chance to get in, that's fun.
But there's leaks in the ceiling, though. It's got some instances where it falls on its face.
Yeah.
And then the powers that be act like everything's fine in the burning house.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. But like I said, we have gotten instances of great racing, thanks in no small part to this system. Entertaining racing, thanks in no small part to this system. But what else have we gotten from this system? We've gotten situations like we had last night. And I don't know how much longer. I mean, I hate to give if you don't like it, don't watch a crowd what they want. But it's just so incredibly frustrating that it seems like every year there's some sort of whether it's Kyle Larson getting eliminated because a stupid sign fell off the wall at the Roval and forced the caution to come out, or whether it's Parker Kligerman thinking he's in because he was literal inches away from crossing the start finish. I mean, it just comes down to so many little judgment calls that, you can go out and dominate all you want. Kyle Larson won 6 races this year. He's not in. I mean, very few people are even talking about that today because of all the controversy with the 24 and the 20 and how they were fighting for the last spot. It's just exhausting. And I don't know how sustainable this is. I mean, I feel like Kevin Harvick even said it himself. Like he feels like drivers are going to start retiring sooner, like in their late 30s and early 40s, because it's just that the system puts you under so much stress. And we have situations like we had last night where I don't know. It seemed to me like the 1 and the 3 and the 23 were in clear violation of 100% rule. I don't know. I don't know how this is sustainable long term.
Yeah, you got a really good point that it's gonna. I mean, it puts the entertainment value is that it puts so much stress on the drivers to perform until their manufacturers tell them don't perform as good as you give about 80%, 70%. But it's also not sustainable as far as just it's going to age them a lot quicker. They have to keep being put under pressure like this. I mean, yeah, you had pressure in the point system, but I don't know. It's much different.
Yeah, well, and even Brad Keselowski tweeting last night, like this has to be the final straw on the camel's back for this system here. And again, I don't know. I don't know what the solution. I mean, I do know what the solution is. I think the solution is go back to the Lapford system. I don't know what was wrong with it, but I'm also a realist. I know that there are enough fans now that don't know any different that do like this system. But we have to look at some tweaks. We have to look at, I don't know if, again, taking away the win in your arena, I don't know if that would have made a difference here last night. Because you're still going to have the talk about who's in, who's out above the cut line, and 18th place points versus 19th place points, in a full season points battle probably doesn't make much of a difference. But I don't know. I just, when I see like Pete Pistone tweeting yesterday, guys used to enter 5 extra cars so that they could, start and park and make sure their championship contending teammates had, those extra points and positions. I don't even know how that's even close to a relevant analogy here. And if you want to make a stretch and say that's more race manipulation and team orders, I mean, start and parks have been a part of, I guess up until the charters were introduced, and now start and parking is really not viable in Cup Series especially. But I'll take the start and parks over whatever we saw yesterday.
This to me is so blatant.
I miss them too. But this to me is just so blatant and so damaging to the integrity. I mean, slap shoes as well. Again, I haven't gotten to listening to it. I heard Denny Hamlin on his Action Detrimental podcast mentioned slap shoes video about the dam of legitimacy this afternoon. I mean, the fact that we're even having this conversation, and the fact that Mike Ford supposedly told Denny, well, it's just a bunch of bots. It's just bots. Like, every time I think the quote book can't get any crazier. And I don't want to pile on Ford too much here, because I haven't listened to the full show yet. I've only seen a couple of his tweets. I don't want to take him entirely out of context here, but the fact that that was even brought up, and now we have fans calling themselves, Chesapeake Diecast calling himself a bot, and Brock Beard tweeting that photo. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like a good look to me for the sanctioning body, for their heads of communication, the people that they're sending out there to be the voice for the sport. And you can't even be willing to acknowledge, listen, I understand that, it's a business and it's not a great look for you to come out and say, yeah, our system's terrible. And of course they're not going to say that, but can you at least,
they don't admit anything wrong ever.
That's the problem. Can you at least, I don't even know if you have to admit that you were wrong. Can you at least acknowledge that we exist? Can you at least acknowledge that there are people out there that have genuine, legitimate concerns? And I'm not like I said, I'm 25 years old. I'm not like the old man yells at cloud meme from The Simpsons here. Like, I love this sport. I fell in love with this sport. And I want to see it continue to succeed. I want to continue to love it. This isn't like, if I wanted NASCAR to fail, if I wanted NASCAR to be an embarrassment, I'd be running circles doing victory laps right now. Like, I mean, I don't want this. I want to be talking about Ryan Blaney and the drive he put in yesterday. I want to be talking about a close championship battle, and who our strong up and coming drivers are, who are racing with good morals and ethics, who are going to be future superstars of sport one day. That's what I want. And that's why I'm so critical. That's why I'm so passionate about this. It's not coming from a place of hate for the sport or anything like that. It's the opposite. You criticize something so heavily because you love it, because you want it to succeed. And I just don't see how that's feasible with this sport going down the path that it is right now. I don't know that anything's going to change. It sounds like, I can't count. I mean, how many times have we heard somebody get up on that microphone and say, the system worked incredibly well. It's giving fans what they want. It's an incredible system. 8 out of 10 fans like what we're seeing. I mean, just go all down the quote book from the last 10 to 15 to 20 years here. I don't expect anything to change, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop fighting for what I believe in and speaking up about, my passion for what I think is in the best interest of this sport. And I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe a full season points championship isn't viable anymore. Maybe I would have to eat crow on that. But it can't be this. Surely it cannot be this. When you have so many people, all you have to do is take a look at the timeline yesterday. And all the people speaking out about it, all the people saying this has to be the nail in the coffin. We have to change something. We can't continue to do this year after year. We can't have, the team owners have to go to the manufacturers and say, like, we can't keep doing this. And I don't know. I don't know what the solution is at this point. But I mean, damn if we don't have a problem. Like, how can you look at this and say we don't have a problem?
I say we split and take it to the man.
Well, I don't know, but
Art style. It's already in the works, baby. It's already in the works.
I mean, I can't say I haven't heard people propose that. But I don't know. I mean, it's been 30 years for IndyCar, and I don't know. We'll see what this charter system does, but I don't have, based on what's happened in NASCAR, I mean, you got two teams suing the sport right now. I don't think that's the long-term solution either. I feel like they never really recovered from that. But I don't know. I mean, it just at some point, like you said, Brandon, I don't expect it to happen, but you know, can you at least acknowledge the other side exists? Forget admitting you were wrong for a second. Can you at least acknowledge the other side exists?
Yeah, that's something I've never seen that this organization do, and it's weird, and it's not even like if you're trying to be a transparent, realistic company, not acknowledging that side of your fan base, which is bigger than you care to admit, is not being realistic at all. It's being a facade.
Yeah. Let me just pull the tweets back up here. I want to make sure I'm being completely fair to Mike Ford here. John Haverland, somebody I've known for a while, mutual on X/Twitter, saying Elton Sawyer completely dodged Ed Jeff Gluck's excellent question. Mike responds 12 hours later, probably just earlier this morning, the next morning. No, he didn't. He doesn't include a clip of the press conference where he thought Sawyer answered Gluck's question. He doesn't explain why he thinks he didn't dodge the question. He just says, no, he didn't, period. End of tweet. He also quotes Sarah Davis's tweet here. Sarah was quoting, I guess this is probably Denny on the podcast. I talked to Mike Ford a little last night, NASCAR comms. I said, man, this format is getting hammered on the net. And he's like, it's bots. It's not real people. I guess there you go. I guess I'm a bot. I guess Brock Beard's a bot. I guess Chesapeake Diecast is a bot. I guess we're all bots. we don't exist. We're not real.
Yeah, that sounds like a different identifying thing going around in the bigger world of media at the moment.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Mike quotes this. Yeah, 2 A's and 6 H's. Yeah, drawn out. Not exactly how the exchange with that Denny Hamlin went. Said Twitter/X generally has an abundance of bots, but I guess I could see how that could be misconstrued. Trust me, I see many of the fan tweets about the playoffs, and they have pulses. Sure, I don't doubt that. I know there are plenty of people still today. I mean, I got somebody replying to my tweet yesterday, like, yeah, Tyler Reddick totally just laid out. I can't believe people still want to go back to the Lapford system. Okay, I know you're a real person. I completely disagree with you. I don't know how you can not understand why at least I have the opinion that I have about wanting to go back to the Lapford system, but you disagree. That's fine. And I know you're a real person. I know you exist. So you clearly see those tweets. You clearly see them. I don't know how, Brandon, you could be scrolling through Twitter yesterday, and regardless of who you follow, regardless of what side of the playoff discussion you fall under, how could you not see the other side? How could you not see those tweets? How could you see those tweets and just assume, oh, the bots are out of control on Twitter? And they are.
Yeah, they are.
We don't need to get into that now. But how could you not look at a couple of them and see, like, these are legit? There's a driver, a champion of your sport at that, in Brad Keselowski, that's saying, what are we doing here? You're talking to arguably the best driver to never win a championship, who's won 50+ races. And he's an owner in the sport. And he's saying, man, like, this just getting hammered on social media right now. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand.
The excuse is gone of, oh, they're not in your circle of friends, your echo chamber on X. And so that's the reason you're not seeing them. No, they're from actual drivers in your sport. And usually they're the ones that are the most vocal time after time. Yeah, there's that excuse is out of the window. You absolutely are seeing them, and you're not doing anything to acknowledge them and calling them bots.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately the most frustrating part of all this to me. Like, I mean, if NASCAR is going to die on this hill, and I'm going to die on mine, I've said in the last several weeks I'm going to die on mine. If they're going to die on this hill, whatever. But it's the fact that they're coming out and saying this publicly on a public forum on social media, that it just completely. If you don't agree with this system, if you don't like this system, I mean, we heard Pete Pistone say it about a month and a half ago. You're on your own. You said last year, you need to get to a group. You got Mike Ford saying, they're all bots. Like, I mean, like, just that's so frustrating to me. Like, you can't even, if you're going to tell me that our opinion doesn't hold any weight here, then what are we supposed to do? What's the point in me coming back and trying to actually have a conversation and tell you, well, hold on, this is the problem that I have. I understand where you're coming from, but I see it this way, and I have an issue here, and I think that it opens the door for shenanigans like this, and that's not good for anybody. I don't think the sport looks very good this morning. I don't think they look very good here if they don't say anything and let this go. Nobody likes team orders, right? So if we can't even have the conversation, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. And that's why I say, like, we're going to go to Phoenix. We're going to crown a champion. I hope to God we do not get a repeat. And I'm not even saying the Lord's name in vain there. I'm genuinely praying. Please, Lord, do not give us a repeat of what we had last year. But maybe we will. I don't know. We'll get through this weekend. And then I think people are going to have to look at this sport in the offseason and seriously start considering, like, is it worth continuing to invest the time and energy to be a fan when these discussions come back year after year and are so frustrating and so exhausting? And I don't know what the answer is to that. We're going to have a few months to think on that, pray on that. But this cannot be the norm, and it has become the norm of this system. And I think the logical conclusion would be something has to change with this system, because, I suppose, yes. I mean, if you have a full season points format, can somebody pull shenanigans and team orders like this in the final race? Sure. It's possible. But a full season championship does not always lead to those kinds of scenarios, doesn't always guarantee that it's going to come down to the last turn of a last lap. So it doesn't open the door for that to happen every year. And it leaves no doubt. Right? Like, who would have been, like, there are sometimes seasons, and thank goodness Martin Truex Jr. won it in 2017. Thank goodness Kyle Larson won it in 2021. I think Kyle Busch in 19 is the only other time where it would have gone both ways. That one was a little bit closer. But, I mean, imagine if they hadn't, right? Like, Kevin Harvick in 2020. Like, I mean, come on. Like, who would have been complaining from anything? I mean, maybe they would have been complaining from an entertainment perspective, but nobody would have been complaining about him winning the championship as an undeserving champion. And that is so that causes you so much trouble that this is the alternative that you want? Really? We're sitting here talking about clear team manipulation, and everybody, I mean, Larry Mack said on track this afternoon, we've had to spend the first 75 minutes of this show taking calls, talking about the implications of this. What could NASCAR decide to do? And we've hardly mentioned Ryan Blaney. We've hardly mentioned the great racing that we saw. I mean,
and then NASCAR majority, like media majority, they say that as an attack, as a, like, shame on you fans for talking about that and not about. No, that's not what we're getting at. Like, do you hear that though? Like,
yeah.
They talk about it like that way. Like, shame on you fans for not focusing on the important thing here. It's hard to ignore this big elephant in the room that keeps showing up.
How can you not talk about it? Trust me. I want to be almost done the show right now. We've been going for almost 45 minutes here. I want to have gotten through Xfinity, gotten through trucks, and made our championship picks for the next weekend, and given our flowers to Ryan Blaney, and given our flowers to Goodyear, and to, I mean, let's be fair. NASCAR put on a fantastic race by next-gen Martinsville short track standards. It was awesome. Drivers could pass. Yeah. The racing. I mean, I had a friend tell me
in the spring, man, much better. And you still had all the Hendrick drivers, by the way, up front towards the end, at the end of it all.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great race. It was a great race. And just in the span of the final 20 laps, all gets completely overshadowed by this stupid system coming back and rearing its ugly head and causing drivers to do this.
And
And
making
teams to do
headlines
this and manufacturers to do this.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about the implications of this. I have my opinions. If you're still watching in the chat, thank you for sticking with us here. I promise we'll get to what the show title advertises here. We're going to get into what happened in Trucks and Xfinity here, and make our championship picks, because we do have a Final Four in those series as well. But I don't know, man. I mean, I hope Kobe, Josh, and Matt are ready. Oh, I guess not. I guess not Kobe. Kobe's going to be moderating the other news here, but Josh and Matt for sure. They're going to have some news, I think, that they're going to have to talk about here in about 48 hours. And Grid Live will be back this weekend. The pre-race show might have to revisit this when they should be setting up the championship weekend at Phoenix. I don't know. It is a very. I don't think it's over. Let me just put it that way. I wish we could say that it's. What happened. We're going to move on. We're going to move forward, and it's frustrating, but it'll be what it'll be. But I don't know how they cannot say anything here when it's this unpopular, when it has this many people fired up, and when it's this controversial. And Danielle Trotta said it this afternoon on Sirius XM. They've got to nip it in the bud. And Larry Mack came back and said, absolutely, and not in 2025, not the next time we come back to Martinsville, but they got to do it now. They got to do it now before, not just the Cup race. And I would say, Brandon, honestly, not even just before the truck race. There's an ARCA West race Friday afternoon as well. And I know we don't use the same format. I know that, teams there operate a little bit differently, but we saw it 3 years ago. The championship came down to the last lap there. I mean, it's possible. I don't want to see any of those kinds of shenanigans this weekend. Can we just get through, after the frustrations of last night, can we get through this weekend cleanly? Only time will tell. I've got a feeling that's not going to be the case in at least one of these three series, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, the only scenario folks are thinking about right now is a Blaney Logano, keeping the front gridlocked, or Blaney blocking off people for Logano, or vice versa at all costs.
Well, I'll tell you this much, and then we'll move on here. This will be the last thing I say. I don't know. I don't know what the best case scenario is here, because if Byron wins, people are going to say he got gifted a championship 4 spot because Bell should have been in. If Reddick wins, that's a whole mess, because 2311 is part of these charter lawsuits going on right now. If Logano wins, it's the guy who would be 14th in straight up points right now. That would be probably, I would have to think, maybe Jimmy Johnson in 2016, I know he had an average finish down in the 14s, but I think even he was still top 10 in straight up points tallied that year. I got to imagine that would have to be the lowest ranked driver that would actually win the championship under this format. I don't know. I guess the best case scenario is that Ryan, or the least controversial scenario, I would say, is probably Ryan Blaney going back to back. I think it's going to be a very messy situation here. But
yeah, I like Blaney or Reddick to take the title, and there goes the Baja Blast. It was long overdue. Here it is, making an appearance here on Grid Encore. Usually we see it in other areas, but got to bring it here on Monday.
I don't know if my voice is going to make it through the rest of this show here.
Well,
again, apology, but there's a lot of layers to this onion. We had to address them all, and wanted to give Brandon his chance to give his thoughts on it as well. But like I said, it's only going to get crazier from here, because I don't. Yeah, I mean, Spingate was massive. If you're drawing comparisons to Spingate, I don't know. We see 6-figure fines here. I mean, it's. Again, I'll just go back to what Ricky said.
Spingate shut down an entire racing organization.
It did. So, it really did. It took a couple of years. It took a couple of years, but I think it really did there. But again, I'll go back to what Ricky Craven said on his Facebook page today. After sleeping on it, I completely agree. I don't even need the telemetry. I've gone back and watched it. I've heard the radio communications that I've heard. It seems clear and obvious to me.
Yeah, suspend your drivers, please.